You think you know what loyalty means in WWE? You think 7 years of silence can be forgotten with one return? Well, let me tell you something that's going to make your blood boil. Centimeter Punk just did the unthinkable on Monday Night Raw, and the so-called beast incarnate Brock Lesnar is now laying in a hospital bed, unable to move. And here's what's going to make you absolutely furious. WWE management knew this was coming and they did nothing to stop it. That's right, folks. The most controversial figure in professional wrestling history just returned after vanishing for 7 years, and his first order of business, ending Brock Lesnar's career in the most brutal way imaginable. And you want to know the worst part? Paul Heyman was standing ringside with a smile on his face the entire time. Let me paint you the picture of what went down Monday night, because mainstream media is trying to cover this up and spin it into some fairy tale comeback story. But we know better here at Wrestling Zone 1, don't we? The Raw after WrestleMania. The crowd is electric, expecting the usual post-Mania fallout. Suddenly, the arena goes dark, complete blackness. And then, those 4 words that sent shockwaves through the entire wrestling world: cult of personality. The Chicago native, the voice of the voiceless, the man who walked out on WWE in 2018, Centimeter Punk storms through that curtain like he never left. But here's where it gets interesting, and this is something WWE doesn't want you to know. Punk didn't come out with his usual smirk or his typical sarcastic demeanor. No, this man came out with murder in his eyes. He grabs a microphone, and the crowd is absolutely unglued. People are crying, people are screaming, grown men are losing their minds. And Punk just stands there in the center of that ring, letting the moment breathe. But then he says something that makes the entire arena go silent. Brock Lesnar, you took 7 years from me. Now I'm taking everything from you. Boom. Before anyone can process what's happening, Brock's music hits. The beast incarnate, the conqueror, the man who has decimated everyone in his path, comes storming down that ramp. Paul Heyman is running behind him, trying to hold him back, but Lesnar is possessed. Here's a question for you in the comments: do you think Paul Heyman set up Brock Lesnar? Because what happens next is absolutely devastating. Brock slides into the ring, and these 2 titans, these 2 men who have defined generations of professional wrestling, are finally face to face after 7 years. The tension is so thick you could cut it with a knife. And then, Punk strikes first, but not with a punch, not with a kick. Punk pulls out a steel pipe from under the ring. Where did that come from? How did he know it would be there? And security? The referees? Where were they? Punk swings that pipe like a man possessed by demons. Crack. Right across Lesnar's knee. The beast crumbles. Crack. Another shot to the same knee. Lesnar is howling in pain, and Punk isn't done. He's screaming, he's crying, he's unleashing 7 years of pent-up rage. But here's where it gets absolutely insane. Punk locks in the Anaconda Vise, but not the regular Anaconda Vise. He's got that steel pipe pressed against Lesnar's throat. The beast is fading. His eyes are rolling back, and Paul Heyman is just standing there on the outside, watching. Drop a comment right now: was this personal or was this business? Because what I'm about to tell you will change everything. Medical staff finally rush the ring, but the damage is done. Brock Lesnar, the man who conquered the Undertaker's streak, the man who ragdolled John Cena, the man who nobody could stop, is being stretchered out of the arena. And the reports coming out of the hospital are terrifying. According to sources close to the situation, and I have this on good authority, Brock Lesnar suffered severe damage to his cervical spine, multiple ligament tears in his knee, and here's the kicker: temporary paralysis from the neck down. The doctors are saying he might never wrestle again. Let that sink in. Centimeter Punk, in one night, did what Roman Reigns couldn't do in 4 years. What Seth Rollins tried and failed to do. What the entire roster combined couldn't accomplish. He ended the beast incarnate. But why? Why now? Why this level of violence? Well, buckle up, because I've been digging, and what I found is going to make your jaw drop. Remember 2018, when Punk left WWE? Everyone thought it was because of the Royal Rumble controversy, the medical malpractice lawsuit, his issues with management. But there's a story that never made it to the dirt sheets, a story that only a handful of people know about. During a house show in Chicago in 2017, there was an incident backstage. Punk and Lesnar got into a real fight. Not a work, not a storyline, a real, legitimate locker room brawl. And here's what WWE covered up: Brock allegedly injured Punk so badly that he couldn't walk for 3 weeks. WWE paid Punk to keep quiet. They made him sign an NDA. They buried the story because they couldn't afford to have their golden boy Brock Lesnar exposed as someone who shoots on people backstage. Comment below: should Centimeter Punk be suspended for this attack? Because the WWE Universe is divided, and the plot thickens even more. After Raw went off the air, Centimeter Punk cut a promo that was immediately censored by USA Network. But I've got transcripts from people who were there live. Punk allegedly said, and I quote, "For 7 years, I've been waiting, planning, training, and now, the beast is nothing but a broken dog. Paul, you want to manage the best in the world? I'm right here. But first, I'm going to dismantle everyone Brock ever beat. I'm going to erase his legacy like he tried to erase me. This isn't just a return. This is a vendetta. This is personal. This is Centimeter Punk declaring war on everything Brock Lesnar represents in WWE. And let's talk about Paul Heyman for a second, because his behavior during all of this was suspicious. Heyman has been Lesnar's advocate for over a decade. They are supposedly best friends. But when Punk was destroying Brock with that steel pipe, where was Paul? He was on the outside of the ring, with his hands behind his back, watching like he was studying for an exam. Social media exploded. Within minutes, Centimeter Punk, Brock Lesnar, and Paul Heyman were trending worldwide. People are canceling their AEW subscriptions. People are buying WWE Network again just to rewatch this moment. The wrestling world has been turned completely upside down. Quick trivia question for the comments: what year did Centimeter Punk win his first WWE Championship? First person to answer correctly gets a shout out in the next video. But let's address the elephant in the room. Was this too far? Did Centimeter Punk cross a line? Because there are people on Twitter saying this was attempted murder. There are fans saying Punk should be arrested. There are others saying Brock deserved every second of it. The locker room is apparently in chaos. Wrestlers are picking sides. Seth Rollins reportedly confronted Punk backstage and they had to be separated. Randy Orton allegedly told Punk welcome back and shook his hand. Cody Rhodes, he's staying completely silent. And Triple H, the man running WWE now, he held a press conference the next day, and let me tell you, he looked shaken. He said, and I'm paraphrasing here, that WWE does not condone violence outside of sanctioned matches, but that Centimeter Punk's actions, while extreme, were understandable given the circumstances. Understandable. Triple H just basically admitted that something happened between Punk and Lesnar that justifies this level of retaliation. The WWE Universe wants answers. Was this a shoot? Was this a work? Is Brock really paralyzed, or is this the greatest storyline in WWE history? And most importantly, what happens next? Because if Brock Lesnar can't get medical clearance to return, his contract is void. He can't get his revenge. Centimeter Punk essentially committed the perfect crime. He destroyed his enemy and there's nothing Brock can do about it legally within WWE structure. Drop your predictions in the comments. Will Brock Lesnar ever return to face Centimeter Punk? And if he does, will he be the same dominant beast we all know? Now here's where things get even more complicated. AEW is reportedly furious. Tony Khan is threatening legal action, claiming Centimeter Punk was still under contract. WWE is saying the contract expired. There are lawyers getting involved. This could turn into a legal nightmare that makes the Monday Night Wars look like a playground dispute. And the sponsors. Oh boy, the sponsors are having a field day with this. Some are pulling advertising, saying this was too violent for primetime television. Others are doubling down, saying this is exactly the kind of unpredictable content that makes WWE unmissable. The ratings for that episode of Raw, record-breaking. Highest numbers in 5 years. People who stopped watching wrestling came back just to see Centimeter Punk, and now they are hooked again because they need to know what happens next. Here's my take, and you can agree or disagree in the comments. Centimeter Punk didn't just return to WWE. He returned to burn it all down and rebuild it in his image. This is his company now. This is his show. And everyone else? They are just living in Punk's world. The wrestling landscape has changed forever. We're not in the PG era anymore. We're not even in the Attitude era. We're in the Punk era. And it's going to be chaos. So what does this mean for WrestleMania next year? What does this mean for the Royal Rumble? What does this mean for every championship in WWE? Because if Centimeter Punk can take out Brock Lesnar in one night, who can stop him? Last question for the comments: who should be Centimeter Punk's next target? Roman Reigns, Seth Rollins, Cody Rhodes, or does he go after the one man he never got to face, John Cena? This is just the beginning, folks. Subscribe to Wrestling Zone 1 because we're going to be covering every single development in this story. Hit that notification bell because when news breaks, we're going to be the first to bring it to you. And share this video with every wrestling fan you know because everyone needs to see what happened on Monday Night Raw. The beast is down. The voice of the voiceless is back. and WWE will never be the same. I'm coming to you live from Wrestling Zone 1, and I'll see you in the next breakdown. Don't forget to comment, like, and let me know what you think about this insane return. Peace.